Hey, what's up? Throughout my videos, I've been making improvements to my switches from moving wire with my bare hands to a chicken stick to a solenoid, which actually connects the two wires, completing the circuit and allowing for high voltage, high current discharge. And I use a MOSFET to connect this push button and be able to activate the switch from a distance. And 3, 2, 1. So I recently just moved into an RV, and I live in an RV park right next to a couple of neighbors. I can't stop doing what I do, so I bought a travel trailer, converted it into my office. I did electrical and insulation myself. The problem is, though,
3, 2, 1.
Chamber. 3, 2, 1.
yeah, a bunch of explosions. So I gotta figure out a way to dampen the noise. So from my previous video, I noticed that each time the capacitor discharged in the vacuum, it was almost near complete discharge. So I decided to go on that idea and figure out if I could make a switch out of that. And so this is my crude attempt of my first prototype for the switch. I'm using air compressor hoses just to make it a quick connection and release. Testing this out with my small capacitor bank, and I'm charging this thing up to about full power. And as you can see, the noise is really quiet. I could do this without wearing earplugs. So the voltage you get from the voltmeter, you just multiply it by 11, and then you get around 4,000 volts, and it discharges to around 400 volts. Plug that into that equation, and you get the final joules and then the initial joules from when the capacitor is discharged. And when you calculate it all, it's about 99% complete discharge. So it doesn't mean anything if I don't test it out in my large capacitor banks. And so there we go. So I'm charging up to 33,000 volts. And you can tell it's been significantly quieter than my previous ones. And this is just 1% of the energy discharged. And you can see how loud that is. And so I wanted to be able to turn this thing on and off without actually turning on the vacuum pump while I'm doing the experiments, because I don't like touching stuff while there's a lot of high voltage around. So I wanted to use these solenoid valves just to turn on and off the valves. I could do it remotely. And pulling the vacuum from the larger chamber, and once the thing reaches about 100, this thing is out of scale, but I guess I calculated to around that point is when it's fully vacuumed, or as full as vacuum I could get from that vacuum pump. And I'm just going to disconnect the main chamber and turn into the switch chamber. And as you can see, the glass did not break. So happy that did not. But it was a complete discharge, and you can see the current I was able to go through that. Promising. Thanks for watching.